Hey Bag Lady, I'm Sarah Lawson from So Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Ask Sarah, my weekly Q&A chat. So thanks so much for joining me for the chat. I see all my bag ladies coming on in, so welcome and thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions, either sewing related or in regards to supplies, leave me a question in the comments and I'll be answering some questions live in just a little bit. I noticed from some comments on social media, somebody asked yesterday why at the beginning of the chats I'm always dancing with like a little pouch. Today I've got a stuffed animal. There's actually a very good reason behind that. We're streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube, and there's a slight delay between the two. So my options were to, just sit here and smile at the camera for a full minute, or make it into something fun like dancing with the pouches at the beginning of the live stream. So we tested out both options, and I felt that me just smiling at the camera for a full minute seemed a little boring, so that's why I have my pouches at the beginning of the chat and I'm dancing with them. If you've seen the chats before, you might have noticed that. Okay, so we started filming a video today. We finished it up and I was really excited about it for this Crimson and Clover train case. And I have to say, I really appreciate all of you so much that are watching me live every week, that are watching my sewing videos for how to make a bag, or maybe you've watched some of my tutorial videos. Thank you so much for sort of joining in my little sewing community online. I really appreciate you, and not just to have you with me during the live streams, but I feel like my sewing has gotten better just through doing the videos. And I know it sounds a little silly, but when I finished this train case today and I saw how good my piping looked, I mean, I've done piping before, but getting it to look like this the first shot, and I don't know, I know it sounds crazy, but I was just so impressed with how this finished train case came out, and I know it's due partly to all of you because I've learned a lot through doing these videos, both the live videos and the full sewing tutorial videos. And I feel like it's made me a better sewist. I don't know if it's because I have to gear the information toward any sewist, so any skill level. I can't just hurry through the project like I normally would. I have to stop and think and actually tell you on camera how exactly I did it, and I try my best to make it as easy as possible. Not that every step in a bag is always easy, but I feel like I go out of my way to try to present the easiest way, the easiest technique for bag making, and I know that's made me a better sewist. Like when I finished this train case today, I was super impressed with myself, and like I said, I know I designed the pattern, and I know that sounds silly, but thank you so much for watching me live and watching my videos, because you sure have helped me as well, so thank you so much. I have a little surprise for you tonight. My husband will be joining me live next to me on the live stream. My husband takes care of all the filming, the lighting, the editing of the live videos, as well as the tutorial videos. And I convinced him to come on the stream with me tonight, so more on that in a little bit. Be sure to ask me your questions in the comments. We'll get to some questions after the sewing tutorial video for tonight. Let me explain the sewing tutorial video. If you've been with me since the beginning for the Facebook live chats, you may have seen this video already, but it's instructions on how to add a mesh zipper pocket to any bag. So here's my amethyst project bag, and it's got a mesh zippered pocket. And the video that I'm about to show you can be adapted to any bag. All you need to do is cut your mesh the same width as the bag. You'll need 2 strips of fabric, each 2 1/4 inch wide, and a zipper. So you can use a number 3 zipper like I have here, or you can use a handbag zipper. They just need to be the length of the width of the bag. So really easy to adapt to any bag. Come back after the live video. Be sure to see my little chat with my husband, and I'll be answering some questions. But without further ado, here's the sewing tutorial for this week, how to add a mesh zipper pocket to any bag. Now it's time to grab your piece of mesh and one of your binding strips. So I'm just going to finger press that binding wrong sides together in half, and I'm going to pin this in place to the top edge of the mesh. And depending on which direction you cut your mesh, one direction is not stretchy and one direction is a little bit stretchy. So depending on which way you cut the mesh, it might stretch out a little bit. It's fine if it stretches out a little bit longer. We can always trim that mesh down after we've gotten it sewn in place to the lining of the bag. I'm going to sew this pinned edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but it's really important to sew with the fabric against the bed of your sewing machine because there's so many gaps and holes in the mesh. It's a bit harder to sew with it against the bottom of your machine, so just make sure that the fabric is face down. Okay, now we're going to press the seam up toward the binding. And it's fine to press the mesh, it's not going to melt or anything like that. Okay, and now we're going to bring that folded edge of the binding down so that it meets the opposite side. And just use the Wonder Clips to clip that in place. Okay, we're going to sew this lower edge 1/8 of an inch away from the fabric. Okay, after I sew the binding to the mesh, as you can see, usually it looks a bit wavy, so just hit it with your iron really quick to smooth it out. Okay, and then next we'll be attaching the zipper. And for attaching the zipper to the binding and the mesh, I like to use this Dritz Wonder Tape, and it's 1/4 of an inch wide, and it's a double-sided adhesive. So one side is sticky, which will attach to the zipper first, and then once that's stuck down, the paper just peels away. So here's the zipper, and I'm just going to stick that wash away Wonder Tape to the very lower edge of the zipper. And in the pattern, I instruct for this portion to be used with an all-purpose skirt and dress zipper, just like we did with the pouch. But I actually didn't have any zippers in the color that I liked to match my lining and my exterior fabrics in the skirt and dress zipper. So here I'm using a handbag zipper. But in the pattern, you're directed to use that all-purpose skirt and dress zipper. Okay, so just push that down with your fingers, and then one side of the paper will just start to peel off, and it'll reveal the second side of the adhesive. And this makes it definitely a lot easier to insert the zipper because the binding and the mesh kind of want to stretch out as you sew it in place. And by sticking it down first, you'll be assured that things won't look stretched out. Okay, and you'll just want to cover the binding on that zipper tape halfway. Okay, we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew that top edge of the binding 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. And actually before I lied when I said we wouldn't need the zipper foot anymore. Depending on if you're using the handbag zipper like I am, or as called for in the pattern, the all-purpose zipper, you might not be able to get close enough to the binding with your regular foot. So if that's the case, you might need to switch out to your zipper foot. But try it with your regular foot first. Depending on your zipper, you might be okay. Okay, so this is the right side of the zipper. For this last piece of binding, I'm actually going to flip to the wrong side of the zipper. So here's my last piece of binding, and to make it simple, I'm just going to use, again, the Wonder Tape on the top edge of the zipper tape, right up against the edge. Okay, and I'm going to finger press that binding wrong sides together, and the raw edge of the binding is going to be placed on that top edge of the zipper. And again, wrong side of the zipper here. Okay, and then just use some Wonder clips to secure it. And we're going to be sewing this pinned edge 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. Okay, so I've got my mesh laid out so that the right side of the zipper is facing out. And I'm just going to press that seam toward that, up toward the folded edge of the binding. Okay, now I'm just going to bring that binding down so that it covers the stitch line. And then I'll use my Wonder clips to secure it in place. So as you'll notice, my zipper's a little bit longer than the binding and the mesh. And I'm going to wait to trim that zipper down until I've attached it to the lining with that zippered pouch. So if your zipper is longer as well, just leave it in place for now. No need to trim it yet. Okay, so I'm going to sew that lower edge of the binding 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. Okay, now it's time to attach the mesh to that lining main panel with that zipper pouch already attached to it. So the bottom edge of the mesh is going to be even with the bottom edge of the lining fabric, and the side edges should also be aligned. If you're working with a longer zipper, make sure that zipper head is within the side edges of the lining main panel. And then go ahead and just use Wonder Clips to secure everything in place. And if you feel more comfortable, you can use that Dritz wash away tape to secure that top edge of the binding. Okay, we're going to sew the top edge of the binding 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric, and we're also going to sew the sides and the bottom 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the lining fabric. So you can see the lining fabric through the mesh, so you want to follow that curve when you get to those two bottom corners. And I'm just going to use my zipper to trim, my scissors to trim the overhang of the zipper, if there is any. And then same thing on that bottom corner with the mesh. Just trim the overhang and do the same thing for the other side. Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that sewing tutorial video. If you jumped in halfway through the video, that was instructions on how to add a mesh zippered pocket to any bag. So again, you'll just need a piece of mesh, the width of your bag. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric, each 2 1/4 of an inch wide by the same length as the bag. Zipper, same length as the bag. You can use a number 3 zipper or a handbag zipper, and that's all you need to add a mesh zippered pocket to any bag. So as promised, I have my husband Danny joining me on the chat today. Danny does all the filming, lighting, editing for the live videos, as well as all of our other instructional videos. So I wanted to have him on the chat just to talk a little bit about sewing. And so Danny, I'm going to ask you, what is your first sewing related memory of me?
The very first thing I think remember with Sarah and sewing was she was making our kids diapers and like burpee cloths. But the first like true memory I'll never forget is Sarah started an Etsy shop, and she was selling fabric from this Etsy shop, and that's when she was starting to get in diaper bags. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna make about 5 bazillion diaper bags and sell them on my Etsy shop. So she did it like someone making a classic Ford where they had like an assembly line. She made like all the different panels, and she started putting the panels together, and she did this for a bazillion bags. And then she got just about finished, and she put them in storage, and they sat in storage for years. I think they're still in storage somewhere. I don't know where they're at currently, but I just know that she never selling them. I've never believed to this day that she started from there and where she's at now, which is pretty amazing.
Well, the funny thing about those bags is that I never finished them, like he said. They just ended up in a box in storage, and it was kind of a shame, but looking back, the bags were not that good. to be honest. Do you remember what they look like?
Yeah, they're basic, but I liked them.
Do you think somebody would have bought them?
Yeah, I do.
Not for a lot of money though, right?
Not as much as it probably takes to construct it and labor costs.
So what do you see when you see me sewing, especially back then? So the bags that he was talking about, I think those were before our kids were born. So my oldest is 11, so that was a long time ago. But especially back then, when I was doing all the sewing, did you think I was crazy or just what did you think about it?
I think you wanted to find a hobby because my hobby was computers, gaming. So I'd be at nighttime with my friends, playing some video games. And Sarah'd be there just watching me. She initially started playing with us, then got bored quick of it, and then she met some lady named Kim online, and it was just all downhill from there.
Yeah, he's talking about my best friend Kim, who's teaching at my sewing retreat with me in June, so that'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, Danny's the one, he learned how to do all this stuff with the filming and editing last year. He had no prior knowledge, but he's a super computer geek, so I think he relished the challenge of learning all that stuff, right?
Sure, I really enjoy it.
You enjoyed it? Yeah, he's always, even now, in the middle of the night, he'll be up late watching a video on how to improve something with the camera or whatever. So we're always trying to do better and learn more, and same thing for me with the sewing, always trying to do better, learn more, all that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Okay. All right, so in a second we're going to get to some of your questions. I saw a lot of great questions coming through while that tutorial video was playing. Before we get to the questions, I just wanted to ask you if you enjoy these live chats, and especially the sewing tutorial videos, if you'll hit the share button. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button to share with your other sewing friends. And if you're on YouTube and you're watching, I hope that you'll hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can share future sewing videos with you. So, okay, now we're going to get to some of the questions. If you didn't know already, Danny's the one that chooses the questions and throws them up on the stream for the live videos. So if you have a burning question, I mean, he might be the one to bribe for that, but he's usually choosing all the questions and throwing them up there. I'm going to throw the first one up because...
If you bribe me, I love anything sci-fi, Doctor Who, Star Wars. Send it to our house, please. Thank you.
We're big into Doctor Who over here. Our kids have been watching Doctor Who since they were really little. Anyway, the first question I'm throwing up on the screen, I saw at the beginning of the chat, Marie wanted to know when can we get the video. So I think she was talking about the Crimson and Clover train case video that I mentioned that we filmed today. So next week on February 28th, which I think is Wednesday, we're coming out with our next 4-pack video bundle. And if you're new to Sew Sweetness, our 4-pack video bundles are 4 PDF patterns along with 4 brand new never released videos on how to make those 4 patterns. Of course, we sell the patterns for the 4-pack video bundle individually, but the special thing about the 4-pack video bundle is it's only available for 1 week, so from February 28th through March 8th, and it's at a special price. So it's $40 for the 4 patterns and 4 videos. I have had a lot of email questions in the past week about that next 4-pack video bundle. Since some of the patterns in the bundle have been out for a little bit, like the Crimson and Clover train case and the airplane bag, those are both part of the bundle. Some people wanted to know if they already have the pattern, what can they do? And so my answer is, if you have purchased previously any of the patterns in that bundle from my shop, I'm happy to substitute a different PDF for you. Just let me know either at checkout or you can email me after you purchase the bundle. So I don't want you to purchase the bundle and have all these repeats. If you have one of the PDFs already, I'm happy to swap it out for a pattern that you don't already have. So that's my answer to that. I hope that makes you happy, and I hope you're excited about the bundle because I am too. So Danny's going to throw some more questions up on the screen. Jennifer wanted to know, have you ever made a bag from waxed canvas? If so, do you make your own waxed canvas? I've been wanting to try it, but I'm a bit nervous. I actually have not so far, but my friend sent me a little bit of African waxed canvas that I'm anxious to try. I just love the bright colors, so I'll give you an update when I've had a chance to sew with it because it's really pretty fabric. All right, hurry up on the questions here. Come on.
A lot of great comments, not so many questions.
Roxanne said, what level sewing skill is the train case? I feel like pretty much all of my patterns are intermediate sewing level. However, that being said, so many people have made my patterns as their first bag. For example, in my Facebook group a few days ago, somebody made, excuse me, let me get some water. Somebody made my Rockstar bag as their very first bag, and I would have to say that's probably the most difficult one. So it can be done. I think, especially with the help of the videos, it makes it a lot more within reach to any skill level. I would say confident beginner. As long as you follow the steps in the pattern and in the, especially the video, I think you'll be fine. Arlene said, you need to design us a Who bag. Yeah, that sounds really good. I think I will. I have tons of Doctor Who fabric, so I'll keep that at the top of my brain. Excuse me. Marie wanted to know, Sarah, what is the difference between your two Jukis, the one bought in the shop and the one bought online? So my two machines are both Jukis. One is the TL2010Q, and the second one is the QVP 2200 Mini. So they're essentially the same machine. The major visual difference is that the QVP has like a little blue stripe down the side. Otherwise, the functions, all the mechanics, everything is the exact same thing. They're both all metal. The only other difference between the two is that the TL2010Q can be sold online, and the QVP 2200 Mini is only brick and mortar shops. So those shops cannot sell the QVP 2200 online. Those are the only two differences that I know of. They're both great machines. I have one of each. Like I said, they function the exact same. And I believe they're pretty close in price too. Judy wanted to know, I'm new, how do I purchase the bundle? So the bundle, I already have a product listing on my website. It's listed as out of stock because we're not selling it till February 28th, but it's at sewsweetness.com. If you go to the website, basically the first product that you'll see is the 4-pack video bundle, and it has a graphic 4-pack video bundle available February 28th through March 8th. So that's what it is. We'll put it on stock February 28th, and we'll have some other information like trailer videos and more information about what patterns are included as we get closer to the date. Sorry, I just feel like I have to clear my throat again. Let me put this over here for 1 second.
Sure, let me take over. Do you have a tutorial ever, or have you ever laminated fabrics to go with your lunch tote pattern? I know for sure Sarah's used laminated fabrics, and I'm pretty sure it was Tula Pink.
Good memory. I have used laminated fabric in several bags before. Yes, most of it was Tula Pink. Pellon also makes a product that you can use to iron onto fabric to make it a laminated fabric. When I first started sewing with laminate, I didn't know that you needed special tools for it. Basically, you need to use either a Teflon foot or a walking foot, otherwise your regular foot like slides against and gets caught in the stickiness of the laminate, just like it does with leather. So I didn't know that. So the first bag that I made, and it was a beast of a bag, but I made it with laminate fabric, and it was so difficult. I told myself I'm never sewing with laminate again, but the reason I had a hard time was because I wasn't sewing with the proper tools. So I don't have a pattern specific to laminated fabric, but you could certainly use it in any of my lunch bags. Just swap it out for the exterior fabric. Gay wanted to know, I will make my first... Put your phone on silent. I will make my first Minikins bag next week. Any particular weight of thread or needle I should use? So my go-to thread is Aurifil 40 weight thread. I have a bunch of it behind me. I also have some 50 weight thread. The difference between the two is the 40 weight thread is thicker than the 50 weight. So the numbers go in reverse. So the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. So 40 weight thread's my favorite. And I use a 9014 needle or a Schmetz Microtex needle. So the 9014s that I usually use are Organ brand needles, and the Schmetz needles I have are Microtex. So either one of those is great. Arletta wanted to know, will you be doing a video of the Rockstar or the dot dot dash bags? Yes, I have those possibly to get to this year. I think the dot dot dash bag would be really fun because it has all the zippers on the front and the recessed zipper on the top, which is a little bit different of a recessed zipper than my Baker Street bag if you've made that already, but I have those on my list, I promise. Gay had, oh, I answered that question already.
Oh, sorry.
Amy Amy wanted to know, can we buy your patterns on Craftsy? Yes, I do sell my PDF patterns on Craftsy. However, we don't sell the videos on Craftsy just because Craftsy doesn't have a way to sell self-published videos there. So I just have the PDF patterns on Craftsy, but they are available there. Lori wanted to know, how often do you have retreats? I can't make the one coming up. So our first retreat this year is June 21st through the 24th. I have a few tickets still available, and you can find that by going to SoSweetness.com, and it should be on the first page. There will be an icon for retreats, and you can find more information through clicking on that. We have another retreat scheduled for September 27th through the 30th. We haven't started selling tickets for that yet, but that's the date for that retreat, and they're both in Chicago.
So I had a question about zipper feet for the Juki in particular. I don't see it. I might have erased it or something.
What do you mean? What kind of?
Yeah, like, is there different kinds of zipper feet?
Okay, I'm not sure what the full question was, but Danny said somebody was asking about...
Are there different zipper foots? Yours looks so different than mine.
Oh, okay. Zipper feet depend on the sewing machine, to be honest. I teach often, and literally everyone's zipper foot looks different. My zipper foot, let me see if I could pull it out here. We don't have another camera view set up for the live stream right now, but this is my zipper foot, so basically it's just a little piece of metal. Some people have different looking zipper feet. My machine is a straight stitch only machine, so that means I can't move the needle from side to side. A lot of machines you can move the needle either left or right, so your zipper foot might look a little different because of that. But this is what my zipper foot looks like. It's just a little piece of metal. But again, your zipper foot will look different depending on what sewing machine you have. All right, another question for me. Pamela wanted to know, can you iron fusible interfacing to cork? I always try to be really careful with the cork and not iron for sure on the front of it, but I have ironed fusible Peltex to the wrong side before. It's fine to do, to iron on the wrong side. You just have to be gentle and careful and try not to let the iron touch the right side of the cork, and don't let the iron sit for an extended amount of time even on the wrong side of the cork. Just basically go in, do what you got to do, get that ironed on there as quick as possible, and then take the iron off. Nothing to be afraid of. If you're nervous, you could always test a little scrap first. Just cut a little, 2-inch square first and test it out, but it's definitely doable. Diane wanted to know, do you only do retreats in Chicago? So far, we've only done them in Chicago. Our retreats are held about 10 minutes away from where we live, and so it's easy. Since we both have school-aged children still, my husband helps me with the retreats. It's just easier for us to get all the supplies. We bring ironing boards, irons. This year we'll be bringing some sewing machines, so it's just easier for us to take care of our guests the best way we can by having the retreat close to us. But we've talked about having the retreats in other cities. We just haven't. I feel like we need a few more under our belt first before we go that route. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to travel.
Yeah.
So anywhere, great destinations, warm, sunny beaches, cold bear. I'm so in.
But we're supposed to be sewing, not
Yeah,
at the beach.
Yeah, while you're teaching, I'm, taking care of the kids at the pool.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me put this mic back on and answer some more questions. Fran wanted to know, have you ever made a bag with sequin fabric? If so, did you have a hard time with it? I actually haven't, but that would be cool. I could see using sequin fabric to make a clutch. I'll have to keep that in mind. I haven't sewn with it before, so I don't know how tricky it would be, but I'll keep that. I have on my computer, I have a list of future tutorial ideas, so I will add that to the list, I promise.
Those sequin material, to me, is really cool. My daughter and I would go, I think, Bed Bath & Beyond. They have pillows, and we, play with the pillows because you can make such cool patterns and stuff with them.
Mm-hmm. All right, Arlene wanted to know, what type of iron are you using? I can actually grab it from over here. I think it was 5 years ago, I did a review on irons for a website called Sew Mama Sew. So I got 5 irons. Some were sent to me for free and some were borrowed from friends, brand new irons. But this is the iron I use, the Singer Expert Finish iron. This was one of the irons that I used in my review 5 years ago. So this is the same iron from 5 years ago. And I actually love it so much that I bought 2 more for my sewing retreats. My previous iron was a Rowenta, and literally the week after the 1-year manufacturer warranty, it started leaking water, so there was nothing I could do because it wasn't under warranty anymore. But this one, I always keep water in it. It's never leaked on me. I like the tip of the iron, and it has automatic shut off. So my iron, I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not, but my iron is 24/7. It's plugged in. And after maybe a minute or two of not being used, it goes into auto shut off. So right now it's in auto shut off. What else can I tell you about this iron? Yeah, it's just perfect. I couldn't ask for better, and in consideration of having that Rowenta go out on me after a year, this has been just great. And I think I bought it for either $60 or $70, so relatively inexpensive compared to other irons. So this is the iron I use, and I love it. All right, Karen wanted to know, do you post your schedule for where you teach? I don't post my schedule online. If I'm traveling to teach, I mostly teach at quilt guilds. I travel to other states once in a while, but generally I've been mostly teaching at guilds in the Midwest because they're drivable. But if you have a question about a certain state, if I'm teaching in there, you can email me or let me know in the comments, and I can let you know if I'm teaching in that state anytime soon. Dawn wanted to know, do you use distilled water for the iron? I actually don't. I think I probably should, but I just use water from, half the time it's from the sink and half the time it's from the fridge, the water dispenser in the fridge. So I haven't had any problems with it not working or clogging up, so I guess it's fine. Martha wanted to know, what's the name of the iron again? It's the Singer Expert Finish iron. So Singer Expert Finish, that's the iron. That's what it looks like. All right.
You forgot to say hi to have your bag ladies all check in and say.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you for the reminder.
That's my favorite part. Where the bag ladies at?
So I've always lately, at least, I've been asking in the chat to let me know in the comments if you're a bag lady and to be proud about it. So if you're a bag lady, and I saw a lot of people when they came in first for the chat, they said, "Hey, bag lady here," but let me know in the comments if you're a bag lady and be proud about it. Say, "I'm a bag lady."
You have a question?
Vanessa wanted to know, do you have a Facebook group? I do. I have a Facebook page as well as a group. They're different. The page is a public page where I post content, so funny sewing things, pictures of bags, that kind of thing in the group. The group is where everyone can post. So the Facebook page is called Sew Sweetness, and the group is called Sew Sweetness Fans. And basically, if you make a bag from one of my patterns, I hope you'll join the group and post a photo of your finished bag there. If you have any questions while you're making one of the bags, you can post your question in the group. There's so many helpful ladies in the group, and it's a wonderful place to be. So if you're interested, I hope you'll join that. And again, that's Sew Sweetness Fans, Sew Sweetness Sewing Patterns. That's the group. Roxanne wanted to know, will you be at Rosemont Quilt Show in April? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll be home. I'll have to check my dates. I'm traveling, I think, twice in April for teaching, and I'm not sure if it conflicts with the quilt show. So that's in the Chicago area, and it's in a city called Rosemont. It's International Quilt Festival. So it's open to the public. They have a lot of quilts on display, a lot of vendors. It's a lot of fun. I've been in the past, I think the past 3 years I've gone, but I'm not sure if I'm going this year, so I'll have to check into that.
I think you should go over that group thing again with Facebook. It's Sew Sweetness Patterns.
Sew Sweetness Patterns is the name of the Facebook group, yeah.
Yeah, not fans.
Well, okay, sorry.
Just making sure.
All right, are we good on questions?
That's all the questions I see.
Okay, so as I said, we're working really hard to finish we have one more video which we're filming tomorrow for the 4-pack video bundle. We're on track to get that finished. After that, my next area of business is to get a video filmed for this free pattern. This is the Oslo craft bag, so how fast do you think we can get this one done?
1 day.
1 day? So Friday we can get this done?
Done.
All right, so we'll be posting this. Danny promises that we will have the video for this next week, so if it doesn't show up next week, you know who to blame and
Sarah
who to come for.
Sick. I'm ready.
Yeah.
24 hours a day.
Okay, so thanks so much for joining me for Ask Sarah. I hope to see you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and happy sewing.